So that just shows you there is a little bit of leeway when you start to do this. There is a little bit of leeway. Yeah. That score is completely gone now. A wrench ratchet, or whatever they're called, would be good right about now. Just double check it again. Oh yeah. Yep. Now this side there's a few millimeters. That side is almost closed. So I would expect it'll bottom out both sides. I'm gonna keep checking it because I'm paranoid. 2 millimeters here, almost closed there, but the difference is less now, so it is seating properly. So let's see. Be sensitive to any change in how hard it gets to turn, because then you'll know you're bottomed out. Ooh, that's really close. That is almost there. Let's see if I notice a change in this turn now. Okay, so don't overdo it. There, it just suddenly got noticeably harder. Not incredibly harder, but that's seated. Let's look at it. Okay. There it is. Seated evenly. And checking the bottom, of course. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. So there was a difference, noticeable difference when I started it. More of a gap over here. But to start it, I couldn't seem to just rest it perfectly flat. So you just take your pick, get as close as you can, and then drive it at the very end. It evens out. I remember that from last time. And these have to be done with impact wrenches, definitely, because these need to be tightened really hard. But I'm taking it in, so this will suffice. Okay, so I'm back at it finally. So here's what happened. The nut, the locking nut for the ball joint was stripped. Well, okay, I stripped it, but thankfully I didn't strip the threads on the ball joint, because I got it on there and it went cockeyed and I didn't realize it and kept going down. So it permanently stripped it. I kept trying, but so I had to go to a hardware store and get a similar nut that's locking. And it's really tricky when you start to tighten these. There's my wrench. It can be really tricky when you start to tighten these. So what I've done is I've raised and lowered the control arm various points, because as soon as your nut tightens up, you know what's going to happen. Your spindle is going to start to turn. But now, thankfully, look at that. The spindle is just now coming through the locking part, and it's tight. And that's because it's pinched enough on the tapered part. But you have to make a lot of attempts there to get it right. Now I know my boot is really smushed down here or whatever, but I got to get this down far enough so I can take it in and get an alignment, and then I'll ask them to tighten up with their air tools when they do an alignment. I have a shop that I have a lifetime alignment deal with that I paid them $150 one time, and so I get free alignments as long as I own this car. It's more than paid for itself now. So I'm going to wait to tighten that down until after I get the tie rod end in. Tie rod end, I know they don't recommend it, but I'm going to use the same castellated nut, and then I'm just going to grab a new cotter pin. That's it. There's my mess. I'm never organized. I try to be. I can't. So I got the tie rod attached. I'm shocked that the spindle of the tie rod didn't budge at all, so I tightened the castellated up all the way, no problem. Then put a new cotter pin in it. There's my bunch of cotter pins in that box, and then I reamed down as hard as I could on the nut on the ball joint, and then the brakes, the caliper went on easier than I've ever had it go on, and the piston didn't even push out at all, so hammered it on there. So that is it. I'm on my way to the store to get the alignment. I'm going to ask them to tighten down the bolts. I'll be good to go. I'm going to ask them when I'm there how much it is to do a ball joint repair, and I'll put that at the end of this video. I live in Minneapolis. I know the rates are different everywhere else, but I'll ask them how much for a ball joint on this car.